Welcome back to another episode of Keoni Chats. This episode is a rarity, but let me explain to you why. Outside of one prior guest, Kirsten Cruel, episode 4, I've had relationships with all of my guests prior to them coming onto my show. So whether they are former classmates from high school or college, or former coworkers, or someone I did dragon boats with before I ultimately stepped away from the sport, I knew I wanted to bring them onto the podcast and just talk to them about their stories and just get it out there for people to listen. So this episode is a rarity because my guests are complete strangers. They are people that I've had no relationships with prior to the interview. All I am to them is just a giant fan of their work. My first encounter with Amy and Jason Liwag of Little Shop of Pins was in 2019 at the Portland Pins and Patches show. What really drew me into their booth was that one of the pins was in direct correlation with an inside joke that I had with a former coworker. So after buying that pin, I told Jason about it, and he gave me a sticker version of that pin for free. I thought that was amazing, and from there, I just became big fans of their work. And it's not because I got a free sticker, so let me just take that thought out of your minds. Jason and I are both Filipinos, so in my mind, the team of Amy and Jason are doing such an amazing job bringing the Philippine culture into the limelight with pins that are themed around our food and other Philippine iconic items, such as a jeepney or a mascot of a Philippine-only restaurant. So I'm just so thankful to them because they took time out of their busy lives that are trying to run a business during a pandemic to talk to a fan. To talk to a fan that's curious about their story and that wants to put it on his podcast. So that's probably like the 5th time I've thanked them. So we'll leave it at that. And before we dive into that chat with Jason and Amy, I just want to remind everyone that I have a DC blog series that is reviewing all the animated films. Currently working on my 3rd film of 2015. It's getting a little difficult finding the films as some of them have moved on from the DC streaming service, but I am determined to find them and review them and get this out to all the fans. I don't know if anyone's really reading them, but it's fun for me. I'm doing this one for me. So, without further ado, whether you are streaming this interview through Spotify or iTunes, or you're watching it on YouTube or through the YouTube app on your phone, I hope you enjoy my chat with Amy and Jason Liwag of Little Shop of Pins. I will also, I promise I'll let you guys go, but I will throw the link to their website in the description below so you can go check out their inventory and check out all the amazing work that they have. Support. Gotta always support. So please enjoy my chat with Amy and Jason Liwag. There we go. Okay. I just got to make sure. Last week, I asked my first question and my recording wasn't going. So I was over the moon.
Time well spent.
Time well spent. Jason and Amy. Okay. I want to make sure I said the last name right. Is it Liwag?
It's Liwag. Well, it's Liwag. It's pronounced Liwag, but we say Liwag. It's fine.
He's been called Liwag since high school.
Well,
so
Liwag is our last name.
Yeah.
Liwag. Did you embrace that, or are you just kind of still fighting it?
No, I guess kind of embraced it. Being Filipino out and growing up in Orange County, you kind of expect it.
How is the Filipino culture in Orange County?
Actually, the Asian community in Orange County is very big, and it's popping down there.
Popping.
It's popping. You got a lot of Vietnamese, you got a lot of Thai, you got a lot of Filipinos out there, especially near like Huntington Beach area, like Garden Grove. It's heavily Filipino and Vietnamese, especially up in LA with the historic Filipino town and the food industry. Like Filipinos we're coming up.
Ooh, I need to go down to LA and try that Filipino food now. There's a few places up here because I remember the first time I met you, Jason, that you're asking for Filipino restaurants, and at that time I was like, I'm a little iffy. Now I'm like, concrete. I know where to go. This is gonna be awesome.
Have more popped up recently, or you've just discovered more?
I tried one last weekend so I just got the basic dish, like a fried chicken with rice, and they gave me a egg and a tomato. So I was like, okay. But as soon as you open it, it hits you. Like, you just feel like you're back in the Filipino parties. It's, New Year's, Christmas, someone's birthday, and you're like, oh, there it is. There's home.
I'm home.
I'm home. So, Amy, marrying into a Filipino family, what was that like, adapting to that kind of culture?
Well, I mean, it's great. It's all about family, and they're always together for every celebration. I mean, every birthday. It doesn't matter if it's an uncle or a niece or whatever. Everyone gets together, and you're right. It's always like the Filipino food comes out, and everyone has a good time, and it's great. It's really nice. Yeah, and getting to know, I mean, just all the different food, and it's been really great.
Culture.
Yeah, the culture. Jason is the second Filipino that I've ever met. So Filipinos are very new to me, and it was awesome to learn about it. Still learn about it.
The first Filipino, is that person still a friend of yours, or just kind of one?
I mean, we still know of each other. It was when I worked at the restaurant called Cube, and his name is June Tan. He's a pastry chef, and he actually lived in the Philippines until I think he was 18, and then he moved to the States. So he was the first Filipino that I ever met. And so cute.
And it was in LA.
Yeah, and it was in LA. Yeah.
Because he's from Ohio, so
yeah,
probably not many of us out there.
I mean,
no.
I'm not gonna say no, but I'm not gonna say yes because I can't say for sure. But yeah. Filipinos are there. I love how they are popping up in these places in every kind of part of the state. We got Oregon, California, probably Ohio. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark again. Maybe.
Maybe.
So when you worked at Cube, Amy, were you a chef yourself, or were you just one of the waitresses?
No, I actually started as a commercial photographer. So when I first moved to the city, I worked at Cube just being a cheesemonger. I made the cheese plates. So I went home smelling like cheese every night, but it was an awesome job, and it got me my first real photography gig. And I shot for the Cube website, and they had a food blog. So I was constantly following the chef around, shooting everything that she did. So I learned a lot about cooking, and yeah, it was a really great job.
Awesome. So then are you the one that takes the photos for the social media accounts?
Yeah, Jason does some too, but I mostly do all the product photography,
our website.
Everything on white, and yeah.
Our website photos are 98% Amy.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do some of the photos you guys have by yourself, because you can set up a camera and then make sure it's right angle. It's a little more time consuming, so it's nice to have that team dynamic.
Yeah, it's nice that we can both take a stab at it. Sometimes, I mean, I was a photographer for 8 years, and then went to massage therapy, which was a complete different thing. And then now coming back to it, it's I don't want to maybe photograph stuff all the time. So I'm like, Jason, can you take a stab at this time? And it's nice too, because he comes at it from a completely different angle than I would. And I'm always like, oh my God, that looks amazing. How did you do that? I went to school for this.
But also she also uses a DSLR, and I don't know how to use DSLR. So I'm mostly just phone,
Yeah, so it comes out looking completely different, which is great. I mean, it gives us a lot of different stuff.
Less planning on my part if there's a phone.
Yeah.
I just, oh, that looks cool, and take it, and you're like, cool, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what's been nice with these phone cameras, technology just upgrading more and more with every new version. It's granted, some hardcore photographers, they might hate it because everyone's classifying themselves as photographers, but it's more kinds of art that's getting pushed out there. And I was actually going to use a DSLR for my second camera, but it was too dark, so I switched to a phone. So I'm with you guys on both angles.
Yeah, the phone is great for a lot of lifestyle stuff is so much easier with the phone. I hate to say that, but it is just with lighting. I mean, you just get such a better exposure than if you use a really nice camera.
Yeah.
It takes a lot longer.
Less thinking for me.
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of the lingo and
Well, and
numbers.
sometimes I get too caught up in the lingo and what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, if I'm lighting something, like sometimes I'm too in my head, and then he just comes in and he's like, "Why don't you just do it?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm making this way too difficult."
Amy, is overthinking something you do normally?
Yes. He's shaking his head. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I am definitely, I'm always thinking like 5 steps ahead of what I maybe need to be thinking of.
Yeah, I tend to overthink also. So even with this podcast, for example, when I was trying to schedule an interview with both of you, I was like, okay, oh gosh, August, I'm filling out my calendar pretty far ahead, and they got a little too overbearing. Where now I'm trying to cut down. So thank you guys for staying patient, sticking with the process.
No,
Oh
I mean,
yeah, no, it worked for us too.
that's how we are with shows. Honestly, like last year, we had booked pretty much the entire year, and then every weekend we're like, "Oh man, like what do we do? Like we can't plan anything."
You just
know,
take
for
it
the
one
next
weekend at a
year.
time.
Yeah.
So currently in the world is still a pandemic of COVID-19. You know, I know you guys shows have been canceled and you switched to the online shows, which you talked about before the show started. What was it like to have your calendar sort of free up since COVID kind of canceled some of those shows out?
At first, it was kind of weird because there was no like actual specific dates that were canceled. Everything was like, we'll see, or we're postponing. So for the first couple months, we were just like, I don't know. Should we do this? Should we not? Like, should we prepare to do something like just in case it happens? It was just all up in the air.
And also, I mean, financially, we get a lot of our income from shows. I mean, it's probably at least 50% of what we make. So at first it was kind of like a, oh shit moment. Like, what are we going to do? And thankfully it's actually worked out for us. Online has been kicking butt. So we've managed to make it through that. So that's great.
Yeah, it kind of forced us to switch gears as far as like what we were gonna do. Like we had all these plans for this year that completely just got shut down, and now we're like, all right, what can we do to kind of refocus and concentrate to make sure that we keep going instead of falling off, you know?
Yeah, we want to gain momentum, not lose it. So it was just like totally switching our mindset, putting all of our energy into online ads. And
I mean, it definitely forced us to do things that we were kind of in the back of our minds. Like last year, we were like, oh, we'll get to it. Now we're like, all right, cool. Now there's no excuse.
all we
Like,
have
we'll
is
just-
time.
Yeah.
Let's just keep going, you know?
And on the flip side of that, it's been really nice to not have to be somewhere every weekend. I mean, I was really feeling bad for like our animals because we would be gone for, 2-3 days in a row, every weekend, and it gets to be a lot and I feel bad. So I feel better about that.
Yeah, I talked to a few people and they're like, oh, I finally got to learn how to cook. I finally learned how to bake. I finally was able to clean out the closet. And I've talked to also a group of people that are like, oh, I've done nothing but sit on the couch. I'm like, come on, guys, this is the perfect time to. I've rediscovered reading books and I've also rediscovered that reading books makes me sleepy. So the whole, it's nice to finally get going on those long-term projects.
Yeah.
I will say at first it was hard mentally. I didn't really know what to focus on. There was, just it was a lot of watching news at the beginning and trying to stay updated on what was going on, and that kind of clouded my mind for the first couple of weeks, and I probably wasn't very productive the first couple of weeks. And then finally it was like, oh, okay, this is going to last a while. I let's switch gears and like just deal with it.
Yeah, you kind of need that little time at the beginning to soak it all in. And absorb what's going on so that you can go on.
Yeah.
So then how important did it become to stay connected with your fans through social media, whether it was just replying to a DM or just making sure that, you stay relevant?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we've been doing pretty good with our social media as far as like, interacting with our customers and friends and fans and stuff.
We've been trying to, new platforms like TikTok.
Pop Shop
We've done
Live.
some TikTok videos.
Pop Shop Live, we did a couple Instagram lives, just kind of stuff that's kind of pretty much out of our normal comfort zone and routine that we're kind of, like, all right, we should learn this, just to kind of be involved more.
And we're also trying to just produce stuff too, like not just, sit and wait off of things we've already created. Like we're constantly like, okay, on to the next. Like as soon as something's put into production, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So
We
yeah.
spend a lot of time on Instagram because that's how we find a lot of artists that we work with too.
Mm-hmm. And that's like 85% of our revenue right there is Instagram.
Yeah. So before the pandemic, you guys were working with individual artists. What was that process like? And then now into COVID, are you still working with individual artists? And how does that kind of process altered?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. Most of the artists that we've worked with so far are artists that I've known for years already, just from doing art shows in LA or just meeting through art galleries, and you kind of just follow each other and become friendly over social media. And most of the people that we work with our collabs now I'm very familiar. I trust them. I know their work and I know their following, and I know that they're going to produce something really good for both of us, and they're very dedicated and know their stuff. That being said, we also reach out to like when we were doing cons, we would walk around Artist Alley, spend a lot of time like getting to know artists and trying to kind of feel out what they're like, what kind of stuff they're into. And then if it just clicks, then we'll like, here's our card. Let's talk after the show's done, and maybe we can work on something in the future. And
it is funny though, because we did find our even before the pandemic hit, we found Ryan, right? And that was all through Instagram. Ryan Smallman, he did the child pin. That was he did an amazing illustration that we just happened to come across on Instagram, and we started up a conversation, and that one has been all online. We've never met him in person.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's becoming more of that. We met Andrea, another artist that we're going to be working with to make different dog pins. And we met her online during licensing week.
Mm-hmm.
So it has shifted gears from, us walking artist alleys to just scrolling through our phone and, seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far have you reached to work with an individual artist or an independent artist? Like, have you thought about, this guy in New York seems pretty cool?
Yeah. Andrea's in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Ryan is in Brazil,
Sao Paulo. Mm-hmm.
And Handy Dan, she's another artist we work with, and she's in the Netherlands.
She's in New Amsterdam. Or no, she's in the Netherlands. And then we were working with Dan Mumford, who's in the UK. So it's like kind of everyone's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if you kind of focus on one area too much, this stuff kind of ends up looking like very similar. And you kind of want to have that worldwide reach. As a company, you want people to know like, people in the Netherlands are sharing our stuff. It's kind of nice to have those artists friends with their following as well.
And just the different style that it brings, and
Mm-hmm.
the pins come out so different, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about pins that made you two want to get into this industry?
We kind of we just kind of fell into it. It just kind of happened. I used to do, when I graduated from Cal State Long Beach, we used to do a lot of art shows, like Gallery 1988, Hero Complex Gallery out here in LA, a bunch of pop culture shows. And one of the last shows that I did was it was for a Zoolander art show. And that art show, I created a Mugatu pin just as like a giveaway, like anybody who buys this, because I have a screen printing background.
Yeah.
So I'm like, anybody who buys this print will get a free pin.
And then you also sold the pin separately too.
Sold the pin separately for anybody that didn't want the print but wanted the pin. And then that night, all the pins sold out, but I still had like a lot of prints left. And I thought, there's something here. Like maybe I need to kind of rethink what I'm doing, because I had more fun creating the pin than I did with the print. It's just something. It's just a new toy.
Yeah.
And so then we kind of just took a break from pins for a little while. Kind of just collected and thought.
Well, you went
stuff.
to that show.
And then my friend took me to
Pinpalooza.
Gallery Nucleus. They had an all pin show called Pinpalooza. And I think it was their first or second time that they had done it there. Basically, it's an art gallery in Alhambra, and they just have 10 tables, kind of like just a little very intimate pin show. And we went because we had a friend that was showing there. And I remember it just being packed, like line out the door. Everyone was inside, just really hot because there was so many people. And I looked at my friend, I was like, I'm going to be here next year, like guaranteed. Like I have to be in this show. So then And then I came home and I told her, I was like, we got to do pins. Like we have to rethink what we're doing.
I wish I could remember what time of year that was, because I know we've told this story several times, and we always think that the first show we did was Gallery Nucleus, but it wasn't. It was in San Diego for a Pin and Patch Con in October. Yeah. So I feel like it was maybe 6 months. You came home and then we busted butt and we got like 8 designs done, and then we did a show. It was like boom, boom, boom. Like we were like, okay, let's try it. And then after the show, we were like, okay, let's do this. You know, it was just like, I guess this is it.
Yeah, we kind of did like the goal was to be at Pinballpalooza. Like that was our main goal for that year, was to just be in that show. So we just produced a bunch of pins, and then more shows, like little tiny pop-ups, started appearing before the Pin Pal. So we're like, let's try it, and we'll just work out all the kinks. We're gonna see if anybody even likes these pins. Like, are we even doing this right? You know? So then we're like, it kind of got us ready for Pin Pal, and it was like awesome. It was like one of our biggest shows. It was really cool.
Yeah, I just look back to those little table setups, and it's like a 24 by 18 cork board with like 8 pins stuck in it, and I don't even know what else we had. I mean, I'm sure I filled it up somehow just to make it look like something, but
like picture frames to get more table space.
Yeah, I think we designed it like 3 different ways, but it was the same pins everywhere. I don't know. So funny.
So in the beginning, I know for myself, I learned something, I learned process, I kind of integrated that process in my head, and I have a hard time accepting other people's input on this process. Like, oh, if you cut this out, you could save this much amount of time. What is a process that you guys had in the beginning that you're so dead set on? You're like, this is going to be the best way forever and ever. And then once a new way of doing that process was introduced, how did you adapt to it?
Are you talking about like the creation of the pins themselves, like,
or just like our like process of like handling things?
Yeah, just handling things. Because when you said in the beginning, like 2017, you were just like, this table setting, this looks good, maybe. And then what is something like that that you had to go through?
Like just with our setups alone, every single show it changed. Every single show. I mean, we would add 1 pin and I had to change the whole thing. Vegas. Oh God, we had a show in Vegas. When was this? Like last year?
This is like one of the like second to last show.
Oh right, because we had our last like big okay. So now we hang everything. I don't know if you've seen like our latest setup. It's like over 6 feet tall. And we hang all the pins, and it's pretty big. Yep. But we had a 10 by 10 space, and we changed that setup 3 times in 3 days.
Yeah, every single day we're like, it's not working. Like there's something that like people aren't coming into our booth, which is what we want. Like what's wrong? We're like, all right, we'll stay after the show, and then we'll like try and reconfigure stuff, and then we'll test it again. We're like, nope, still the same results. All right, let's redo it again. And you know what I mean? So
we just found out that show just wasn't that great.
Yeah, it wasn't us. Completely.
Yeah.
At least like think it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, we continually learn what does not work. I guess that's what I would say. Like, it's not learning what does, it's learning what doesn't, and then you just evolve from that.
Yeah.
That's
a good way to put it.
Thank you.
So you guys were a part of the San Diego Comic-Con, the giant famous Comic-Con convention that usually goes on around this time. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it went online. So you had a pin making workshop. Even before COVID, were you guys set to be a part of the San Diego Comic-Con, or is this thrown in last minute?
No, we just kind of hopped on that bandwagon.
Well, our friend Priscilla Wilson, she actually had an artist alley. This was her first year at Comic-Con. She's gone to like every single Comic-Con, but this is the first year she was going to have a table.
She was so excited.
Yeah, so because everything got canceled, and she was trying to figure out like, oh, what should I do? What can I do for our booths, you know, as for me and our company, or her company and our booth and all that stuff. So she's a huge Funko collector. So she was having all these different little panels, and she was like, she just started doing pins, and we did a collaboration with her, and she's like, hey, let's would you guys want to do a little like workshop, you know, just talk about pins. We could talk about your process, you can answer questions and just hang out. And we're like, sure, sounds awesome.
Yeah, and Priscilla just got into pins too, so it was good for her. And
yeah, and honestly, I hadn't seen her probably since Vegas, since that show, you know, so like it was really nice to actually see her again, because it's been so long, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how did that experience go? I wanted to check it out, but it was in the middle of my work day, so I wasn't able to pop in and see how it went.
Oh yeah, no worries. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. It was mostly just because we had our other friends. Goozy Pins was in there also, and we hadn't seen them, so it was a lot of catching up. Priscilla asked a lot of questions and left the floor open to any questions that the viewers would have had.
Yeah.
And they found it very they were asking some really good questions just about manufacturing, and we're pretty much an open book when it comes to process stuff like that, because why not? It's education.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, it was cool. Everyone, from what we heard, everybody had a good time. They really enjoyed it.
Yeah, everyone
And I
seemed to
liked it.
enjoy it.
I had fun
Yeah.
seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Was there an opportunity to sell your guys' merchandise, or it was just straight up just a Q&A?
I think you guys started by she introduced them and you guys had a little 5-minute talk about new products and anything that you were working on.
Mhm.
And as they were talking about different processes and stuff too, you were holding up different pins that we've done and stuff. So there was a little bit of self-promotion, but it was more educational, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
At the beginning, how much self-promotion was there, and did you feel weird about doing self-promotion? I know I do.
I always feel weird about self-promotion.
Yeah, it's it is kind of weird. Nobody really likes to talk about themselves too much,
I think we've also learned that, especially on Instagram, and Jason does most of the Instagram posts, that you don't really have to sell your product. It's more about who you are as a person or what you like. And if people relate to that, then they'll relate to the product.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something that it's a weird one too, because you want people to be like, hey, go check this out on my website, but you don't want to scream that.
Right.
Yeah, it's
a weird thing.
because obviously for this podcast, I'm the only one that's going to be able to market it, and I don't want to outsource it. So it's like, I got to do all this work, and it's like, I feel weird gloating a little bit. It's like, hey, I did this interview. Come check it out, please. Thank you, please.
I think if you spin it as hey, I'm trying this out. What do you think? Do you on Pop Shop Live yesterday, I was talking to the people on our channel. I'm like, what do you think? I'm like, DM us, because I don't really know from this side of the camera, what I need to do differently. It's different when you're putting your own stuff, but I prefer getting other people's input,
Yeah.
We did these dog pins, and it's the first time we'd ever opened up the floor to voting for which pins to make,
And it's really, we want to do all of them, but we just needed to narrow it down. So it's ask the people that would, be buying them what they would want. But yeah, it is hard. When you're doing a podcast, to put it out there and be like, hey, go check this out.
Mm-hmm.
It is awkward, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then people start giving you feedback, and it becomes more about the work than you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with our pins, it becomes more about the pins, and that makes it easier for me because I don't want to talk about myself normally.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's about the work, then I can talk about that.
Yeah, if you look at our Instagram, I think the last post with me holding pins.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I think that's the only photo of us or me on our Instagram.
Yeah, we've had a few at shows, people taking our photo in front of our booth. but
as far as me, there, it's just so not our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. With at my last job, it was in a print company, so we want to make, as speaking from someone that has the same background as you, Jason. It's you want the product to be at the forefront, and you are just kind of pushing the product out there. So
yeah,
mm-hmm.
you're the muscle.
Really, the pins are extensions of our personality. So it's you kind of if you buy our pins, you kind of get who we are as people.
Yeah. Sorry if you hear a truck right now.
You know what? I thought it was me. Just the earbuds are vibrating because of the Bose. But, so there is another movement going on in society right now with the Black Lives Matter. I want to ask you guys, what have you seen from the California, LA community as far as that movement is concerned?
Wow. Well, in the beginning, when it first started, we live in Silver Lake, and I'm not sure if you know exactly where that's out in Los Angeles, but we're about 10 minutes from downtown, 10 minutes from Santa Monica. We're kind of in the center of everything.
Okay.
So it was a lot. It was very overwhelming, just in the news, and then hearing the helicopters all day. And it was a lot to take in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
We had talked about this while it was going on, and it's what a time to be alive, right? I mean, we were
Yeah.
like during Rodney King, we were younger, and it didn't really like everything that a lot of the stuff that I heard about Rodney King when we were younger was just from someone else telling us. But now that we're older and realize like can see what's going on, like we can physically see helicopters, we can see the people marching, we see the news, and like it resonates with us now. Like it definitely feels different.
Well,
Yeah.
and I mean, racism has always been around. I mean, it's kind of just been swept under the rug and hidden from mainstream media. And, for it to be coming out like this in the forefront, and for us to be at the age where we can recognize what it is, and really, look at ourselves and see how we've dealt with this in the past, or how we've also pushed it under the rug. I mean, there are certain things that, me as a white person, there's things that like a black man walking across the street, maybe I did, clutch my bag a little bit tighter. And why is that? We need to ask these questions. Why is that something that is taught, or, just so just overwhelming, and us living in LA, we live in a very diverse city, but it is still very apparent that it is present and rampant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've been keeping up because Portland has made the news for not the greatest reasons with the feds in town. So I've been trying to keep up, and I unfortunately have not participated in any protests because I have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to big crowds, unpredictability. Have you two participated? I know obviously again with COVID, so it's kind of hard to be in large crowds, but
Yeah, we did it during Pride Month. It was a Pride and Black Lives Matter march. Do you remember how many people? It was a lot.
It was a lot of people. I think it was like 100,000 or something.
Yeah, but everyone was wearing masks. Everyone was, social distancing as much as you can. It was very heavy. It was very heavy.
Yeah.
To walk through that. And
I think our first one together it was Filipino Americans and like Asian Americans for Black Lives Matter.
Oh, right. We went to the one downtown.
That was a smaller one, but it was cool to see really all types of, cultures supporting, which is really cool.
It was very peaceful.
Yeah.
Just hung out in a park.
The one downtown, people were playing music and swaying back and forth and singing together. Like it I want to cry just thinking about it. It was very moving.
Yeah.
So they don't really show you sometimes.
Yeah, when you said Filipino Asians, I was like, damn, I wish now I need to go visit again, just to be part of that movement too. And so what did it mean for both of you to have your second sale proceeds be donated to Black Lives Matter? I believe it was in June.
We did it for the whole month of June.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There are things when it comes to, we like to have sales, we like to do donations, we like to do stuff like that. But if we have all these pins and we have this platform, it's really not that difficult or much of it. Like we don't have to do much work as to just say, hey, we have all this stuff. Let's just put them together. Everybody gets something super cheap, like a pin that they've always wanted, but they don't want to spend money on it. And we'll hook them up.
Yeah, we're not just asking for donations. We're actually, they get something in return.
Mm-hmm. And it's for a good cause. Like the people feel good about doing it. It just kind of seemed like it was a perfect storm of things to do. And really, if we have a platform, like we should use it.
Yeah, and also as a company, we want to put the right message out there, and this is something that we definitely support. So, we're a mixed couple. This is our life too. So, we definitely want to support the cause and let all of our customers and, supporters know that this is something that we back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the street art. So in downtown Portland, they boarded up some of the businesses, and while it does not look great, but I do see a lot of people using street art as a way to show support and just painting over all those wooden boards and showing support also, because I know there's numerous things that happen through our social media, like the Blackout Tuesday, and then so yeah, just showing support, even if like for myself saying like, oh, I'm not comfortable being in a big crowd, at least showing it with this platform, talking with you guys about it, putting out there for people to listen and say, this is a real thing we need to really consider. And
Yeah.
Change is happening. So that's what's been nice about it. Things are slowly happening.
I mean, even a podcast, going out, it's still keeping the conversation alive, which is what's important,
Yes.
because I want to get swept under the rug again.
Well, and with this whole thing, I was like, what do I say? What do I say as a white woman? And it's like, it's not what I say. It's how I listen. It's how I react to everything. I need to be responsible for who I am as a person. And, if our company can help with that a little bit, then that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it is also something I wondered, how is it working with your husband? And Jason, how's it working with Amy? You guys are together 24/7. Not to kind of spin it back in the positive light, but that is something I'm wondering about, because I've talked with my 2 guests ago. I talked with her. She's a track athlete, and her dad was her coach. I'm like, how can you spend that much time with your dad and still love him and not be mad at him? Right. So, how does this dynamic work?
I feel like a coach is like a different type of like tier. You know what I mean? Like we're 50-50, pretty much.
We try to be 50-50.
There are things that I can't do that Amy does 100% better than I do, and I know that.
And vice versa. I mean, I can't. I wish I could draw. I wish that's just not something in me, and that is something that was given to him as one of his gifts. And yeah, we've just been fortunate enough to have that yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
And
like I'm not organized, like at all.
And maybe a little too organized.
Amy's like, I need this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go hang out here while you organize.
Jason's very chill, and I have my moments where I am not chill. So it's great to have that person to bring me down a little bit.
Yeah. And I assume arguments pertaining to business are separate from arguments pertaining to marriage?
Pretty much.
I mean, we try, but it's one of those things. It's like we live in an 800 square foot apartment. There's no getting away from each other. Yeah. So it's like, especially during this pandemic, no one can go to the library or it's just, you're stuck. So
lots of long walks.
Yeah, we've definitely focused more on our mental health and making sure that we're exercising, or at least going outside and standing in the sun for 5 minutes, or just taking care of ourselves first. Because when we don't do that, we blow up at each other, and it's not good.
So then your first outside convention of California was at Salt Lake City, Utah, September 8th, 2018. That's according to Facebook. Did both of you go? Did one of you go? And when it comes to these trips outside of California for conventions, how do you divvy up who stays and who goes?
We usually always do events together, unless for some reason it's a smaller event and it's close and we don't want to have to pay for a dog sitter. That's really what it boils down to. Yeah. But usually we do all the shows together.
Yeah, that one was actually recommended to us by an artist friend of ours, Robert Bruno. And he says, come out to Salt Lake City. It's great. I do really well here. And we had never been. And so we were also wanted to turn, we're going to be in Utah. Let's just turn this into some type of vacation. And then we were like, hey, Yellowstone's not that far. So we're like, all right, well, let's pack up the car with everything that we have, plus camping gear, and figure it out.
We had all the pin stuff in the car with us. So he has a Honda Element. So we took out the seats, and it's pretty big in the back. So we have all of our pin stuff in the car with us, and our bags, I guess. And then everything for camping was on top. And then after the show, we switched it all. And we were gone for 2 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks? It was yeah, we were actually shipping orders out from the hotels.
Yeah, we were.
Because I bought this portable printer, and I was like, let's see if we can make this mobile.
Jason loves gadgets. So any reason to buy a gadget, he's like, oh, hey, we're gonna be on the road. We can't print while we're on the road. We need a portable printer.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
It's we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks. We could at least try and ship some stuff out, and we're gonna have our pins with us anyway. So it's let's see if we can work while we're camping.
It makes too much sense not to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my argument.
Yeah. So the show ended up being just kind of so-so, but it got us to Yellowstone. Mm-hmm. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to planning, let's say in 2021, when it comes to planning, would you guys also have that in the back of your mind? Like, oh, maybe we should go to, I don't know, to North Dakota and then go to a convention there and stay a little bit extra? Or are you just like, let's get in, get out, and get back home?
No, we thought of doing like a cross country
We were trying to think of
con.
like, yeah, like just traveling around and figure out like which cons are where, and then see if we can do it.
We also heard, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but like people that do the con circuit, certain cons will actually ship all your stuff for you. So they just load it on a pallet and it goes in a certain order, and you don't have to do every show, but your stuff will just kind of keep following, and you can just show up and do the show. So that's also something that we had thought of doing. We were all about like all in on shows, and then things happened. So we shifted gears a lot.
Yeah, I mean, some of our friends that have booths are like, we're doing okay. Like, I don't think we even need to do any more shows.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
You got to pay for travel, you got to pay for lodging, you got to pay for food. And if you have other employees, you got to pay for their hotels, and then you got to pay for their meals. And it's just, it's a lot. I mean, it's very stressful. Even up to like a show would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We would be like planning stuff starting the Monday before.
Oh, I would be packing stuff all week for the show. And then when you get back, you're repacking for the next show. So it's like, it's a continuous cycle of pin punching.
Yeah.
So once 2021 hits and you guys already have your first con figured out, scheduled, all that, are you guys chomping at the bits to get back out there? You go back and meet the people, or are you still going to be a little cautious?
Well, there's been a show going on in Orange County. I don't know if you've heard of Pin and Patch Con.
Patches and
I'm
Pins
sorry,
Expo.
Patches and Pins Expo.
Yeah, I've the Portland one I knew about San Diego, and
Right.
then I figured they have little small ones throughout the U.S.
Yeah, they just started actually yesterday. They had their first event, and it was a lot smaller, a lot less vendors, and it was like a timed release. Like only so many people could go in at a time, and we heard it went really well. So we might look into that in the next couple of weeks to try to do something like that, just to kind of ease back into it, see how it is. Because I mean, we're gonna have to eventually jump back in there.
And I miss cons personally. You know, like I know. I went before I was doing pins, I was going to cons. So like I miss the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, I miss the people. And I mean, I'm a social person, so it's like whenever we do shows, like I love doing shows, you know, because I love nerding out and talking about random stuff.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw you guys' booth at the Portland Pins and Patches. You know, I saw the sticker with the Lumpia, it says Lumpia. And then I just remember talking to you. I was like, oh, there's a friend at work that's also Filipino. We say this to each other, and you gave me the sticker. I was like, well, that's fantastic. I eventually bought the pin too because I wanted to match, but I was just like, yeah, I think it's a Filipino thing. You know, you and I both love to talk to people, very outgoing, and you know, just thinking for myself, like, yeah, I would love to be in that environment. I miss being around people and chatting it up.
Yeah.
It is fun. I mean, it's definitely like energizing, and like, I mean, just part of the fun of doing this is just seeing people's reactions to things. Like you seeing the Lumpia sticker, like it's just, you know, people connect to things that you wouldn't necessarily think that they would connect to. And it's just, it's great to see their reactions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Selling something online is definitely different than selling it to them in person.
Yeah, like when I say my thank yous, I'm like, oh, thank you so-and-so. And I like say their name out loud as I'm writing it, because it's just like, you want to keep putting that energy out there. You don't want to just like take these orders and mail them out, you know. It's nice to like have that
connection.
Yeah.
What has been the best reaction you got from a customer, if you can remember?
Ooh, wasn't there a really good Iron Giant one?
Probably. I mean, like the ones that I like are the people that actually take the time to post about it on their Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, the people that actually write about it, or we've had people on Instagram that'll share the pin and they have a story. You know, I can't remember, like, think of one. Probably one of them was like, oh, she used to watch Iron Giant with her dad when he was younger.
I think, I think her parents got divorced, and it was a movie that her dad took her to see during that time. And she just remembered it, you know, really affecting her. And she, you know, she had this personal connection to it. And it's just, it's great when that happens. Like that's why I love pins. It's just, it connects people that you wouldn't connect.
Yeah. So like any review or anything that someone really says about or tags us, like we read it, like.
Yeah, we read everything.
So just the fact
The
that
good and the bad.
so just the fact that somebody goes out of their way to let us know that they appreciate it, like that feels good to us, no matter what it is, even if it's just a share on a story.
Yeah, I've had people like email us after an order, and they were just like, "Thank you so much. That was like the quickest. I've seen something mailed out, or like, oh, you take the time to write a personal thank you, or it's nice that people notice that we're trying to, do the best that we can."
It's a human element.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could type thank you on a piece of paper, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get to see the voice, see the face, or hear the voice, see the face, and just see the excitement that does motivate you to keep pushing on. Because even with this podcast, like I get to talk to people that like yourselves or like any other of my guests previously. It's like they have a story, but they don't have a way of bringing it out to the public. So getting to see their reaction, even though it's through texting, and just like, all right, I'll keep going. This is for you guys. So both the team of Jason and Amy, they both have a huge amount of Filipino pins. We talked about the community kind of being, fairly good size. What does it mean to you to, again, bring all this Filipino culture, the lumpias, the halo-halos, and the jeepneys to the mainstream?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was the first one in my family born here. Everyone else is straight from the Philippines.
Mhm.
And I moved to Orange County, really, and when I was younger, and I didn't have any Filipino friends. I only have a couple still, but
It's mostly just cousins.
but with my family and like the food and the culture and everything, like to me, that was always just kind of like my thing.
Mhm.
Like I never really, I would invite a couple friends here and there to come hang out, but it's mostly like just our own little club, and when we started doing Filipino stuff, it was more like, oh, like I want to do this, because I feel like, my cousin like would like it.
Mhm.
And then when we started doing it, I was like, whoa, like there's a lot more Filipinos out here than I thought there were,
All those
And-
titas.
Yeah.
Line up everything.
All the people buying prayer, yeah.
They love to shop.
Yeah. So, and when we started seeing that pick up, I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, like this is cool. And at that time, there was really not many pin makers doing Filipino stuff. So it became like this thing that was like, I love the culture, I love the food, and it was a way to express, and share that with everybody else.
It was also a way for him to you created like your own little art style for that, like the halo and the lumpia, like they're so cute, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a way for you to get your own artwork out there too, because we do collaborate a lot, but and we have collaborated on some Filipino stuff too, but it started as just your designs, which is cool.
Yeah.
So which one, Amy, did you help collaborate on recently? Or as far as the Filipino lineup is concerned?
Ooh, I don't know. With the Filipino stuff, I don't think I really helped with any of those. I don't help with really design. Design is mostly his thing.
Mhm.
It's more like finishing and packaging and.
Or like, hey, should we do this? Like, should we approach this person? And it should be like, yes, no, we'll
or
see.
like
Let's
finishes,
chalk
like
it.
soft enamel, hard enamel. We talk about it. We see, why we like what we like and
Mm-hmm.
what would work.
Yeah, I mean, doing that with Joanna.
Yeah. So I just found this artist from New York. Her name's Joanna Walters, and she does a lot of typography illustrations. How would you describe that? Is that the best way to do it?
Like calligraphy, like letter form.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like she fits it into a circle or a square, and then she carves it out of wood. And she does a lot of like mental health awareness kind of things. So we're going to be, I don't think I have any right here to show you. We're going to be releasing a blog with her in 2 weeks, introducing the pins that we're going to be doing with her. So that's a collaboration that I guess has mostly been me.
Amy took the reins on that. She found her.
Yeah, I really liked her work. And mental health is really important to me. It's something that, like depression is something that I've dealt with my whole life. And, as I get older, I mental health and how to keep your mental health strong has become like a larger part of my life. So it's something like, again, that, he really relates to the Filipino stuff. Well, this is something that really relates to me. And if it relates to me, I know it's going to relate to a lot of other people.
Right.
Have you thought about doing any mental health awareness pins? It can be, let's say, Olympia saying, I'm fried good. I don't know. I was trying to think of something off the top of my head, but yeah, is that something you guys thought about?
No, but that's a really good idea to match the two.
You can have one for free.
But going back to Joanna, like a lot of her stuff is really like this is the first time she's done pins.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, she doesn't really do her art for profit. It's actually something that she did for her own mental health too. She did a project that it was, I forget the name of it. I think it was called 52 Weeks Challenge, where she did a different drawing every day. And it was just, to help her out of her dark, it was her therapy to help her out of a dark time that she was going through. So it's just one of those things that like, it's just funny that the world brought us together, because I was just scrolling through Instagram and I came upon her work and it resonated with me like that. And now I want to create pins so it can resonate with other people like that. So yeah, it's really cool.
Domino effect.
Yeah.
Is that how it works with a lot of other artists? You're like, oh, you guys came in at the right time in my life right now where I can help you get your stuff out there.
I feel like our whole life is like that. Just like right place, right time, or maybe it's just right energy transfer. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of when I was doing art shows, I kept in contact with everybody. Almost every single person that I ever met at art shows, artists that I like and I work with back then, I've kept like their contacts. And then I stopped doing art shows and started doing pins. And then I kind of stopped talking to a lot of these artists. But now we're like, hey, like now I have an excuse to talk to them again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a couple of years. I started a pin company. Have you ever done pins? Is this something you want to try out?
Yeah.
So thankfully, we're one of the first companies that these people have worked with as far as like making pins. A lot of them have never had pins done before, and since I have a history with them, they're like, okay, you kind of have an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel comfortable enough to hand over my work to you to like translate. And then it just kind of goes back and like, cool.
And it's cool to see someone like Dan Munford. He hasn't done pins before.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, his art is so elaborate, and now it's something, and Brian Viveros. Do you know Brian Viveros? I have a pin right here I can show you.
Ooh, I do not. I'm more of like Little Shop of Pins or Die. That's where I'm at.
We did these for him.
Yeah, we did them for him.
Okay.
But his artwork is super cool and super elaborate. But this was the first time that he did pins. So it's really cool to like introduce a new style to someone else too.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the perks about living out here and being like growing up in like kind of the art scene, is because I was a fan of Think Space Art Gallery, and I have a lot of friends that are artists that have been trying to like, hey, let's try doing some pins. Like we did a pin with our friend Audrey Kawasaki, and Think Space Gallery, which is a gallery I always wanted to work with. They hit me up and they're like, hey, like we have, do you want to do some pins for some of these other artists? And some of these other artists are artists that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love their work.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I was a huge fan of Brian's work before I even met the guy. And now we're talking like every couple of days, just like homies, It's cool. It's definitely opened a lot of doors, just being open, to everything and, like challenges and stuff like that.
Yeah. And these artists that are, larger than life are just like regular people. Like they, you just come to find out that like, oh, they're just geeks like we are, and they like the same things, and we geek out over pins, and it's great.
Yeah, never did I ever think I would meet Jason Marsden and have him like hold our pins and write us letters.
What?
Yeah, and he bought one of our Charlie pins too and wore it when he was talking.
So we're huge Goofy movie fans, and like growing up, and then we did a Goofy movie pin, and then now he's like, he sent us like autographs, and we sent him pins, and he like signed stuff for us, and it's like, it's so weird. Like
we follow each other on Instagram and actually comment back and forth on stuff. Like it's weird.
Yeah, and you're like, this is pins. Like I don't know.
Yeah, because like probably before you're like, oh, I'm gonna message this one celebrity or one artist. Maybe he'll respond. Maybe she'll respond. Maybe, and then to finally get the response, you're just like, Oh my God, I
Yeah.
made
We
it.
did it.
We did it. Yes.
Yeah.
Has there been a moment where you work with the artist and then the pin coming out did not turn up the way that he or she liked? Like it was just not a good moment where maybe the art wasn't where he or she wanted to be. And how did you recover from that?
We early on we did a pin, and the first print of it was great. They loved it. And then the second came, like they wanted to do a reorder, but the plating was a little bit different. So it was a little bit inconsistent between the first and second, and that didn't really fly. So
It was something that we were unaware of that could happen. Like when we first started, we thought, oh, if it's gold, all gold will look the same. Well, it will look the same on the first run, and then it might look a little different on the second run, and then it might go back to what it looked like on the first run.
Yeah.
It's just like whatever that metal sheet looks like that they're using at that time is what it comes out at, and that's not information that we had when this incident happened. So it was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Like we never really recovered from that one. We kind of just made peace and said, like,
Moved
I
on.
still love your work, still amazing as a person, but like maybe we're not going to work well together, just because just too many differences, which is fine and it's understandable. Like you want to represent this artist well, and you want to do their work justice.
And it's hard too. I mean, they already were selling, the pin, and it was a restock, so they already had expectations. And I mean, we really try to meet those expectations, but sometimes things happen and they're out of our control, and we try to recover the best we can and try to give options. And it was unfortunate. It was unfortunate that ended.
But we're still friends. I still talk all the
Yeah.
time. But then, like, we have another pin where we got it shipped to us, and all the locking clutches got stuck on the back, and
Would not come off,
and they kept breaking. And we had to tell the artists, we're like, hey, like, we're not cool with this, so you're not going to be cool with this.
Thankfully, we had time.
Like, you have time. Let's figure it out on our end, and we'll do whatever we can, and then we'll just keep you posted with whatever comes up. And as long as, honestly, I think as long as you have the dialogue and updates, people are fine.
As long as you're upfront with people and you're giving them updates, like not leaving them hanging for weeks on end, knowing not knowing what's going on. And I think by now people know that, like, we don't want to put out anything that is subpar. Like, we are all about quality. So if it comes in and we're telling you we don't like it, then
trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us. Like, we'll handle it. We'll handle it. We'll make it right.
Yeah.
So we're good.
So have you had any second chances with these artists that, maybe after a little bit of time, you kind of got your stuff a little more put together, and then the artist came back to you? Is there a situation you guys ran into like that where you had a second chance?
Well, you're communicating with that artist again. And it's fine. And we just took some time and didn't, but maybe in the future.
Like, I mean, we still speak with this artist, and we agree, like, we're better off as friends than actually, like,
that's hard too sometimes. I mean, when you enter into contracts with friends, you don't want it to ruin the relationship. You want, So that's another thing, like with communication, you just have to be upfront with each other. And if it's not moving the way you think it should be moving, then just, better to stop and reassess, the situation than to lose it.
Yeah. And most of the people that we work with, like, we find.
Yeah.
Not, what I mean? Like, we every now and then we'll get artists that reach out to us, but their artwork won't really work with our brand. So it's like, we're like, no, we can help you make pins. We can, like, kind of, assist you, but, like, those are your pins, but any questions you have.
That's like the roommate thing. It's like, you're better to be my best friend than my roommate, because I'm pretty sure we'll get in a fight and then we'll not be friends anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just better to keep those things separate.
How much what would you say about your progression when it comes to freshly coming out of the gate, like mentally, freshly coming out of the gate, where you're like, I'm a little timid, to where you guys are today, and be able to, fully work with the machine you got and be able to make people's visions from their mind go into something metallic that they can wear?
I think I have personally, from doing like our first show, because I was doing art, like people have been seeing my work since college, you know what I mean, from art shows, and I'm just used to people like just like looking at my work and be like, all right, next, you know, like you know what I mean, like I don't take it, I'm not too critical about it, so to me it's just the way it is. But I remember when we did our very first show, like Amy was just like so nervous and like anxious, and I was like, why are you so nervous? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I was just like, why aren't people like stopping? Like no one's looking at our stuff. And I took it way personal because our pins are personal. It's something that, you know, it's a little piece of our heart that we put out there, you know? So I try not to take things personal now. Try is the key word.
I'm just so used to it that it's just like doesn't even.
Well, he's also like,
yeah,
you're just so easygoing.
This is it. Right?
He's so easygoing.
So other than some collaborations you have going on with the lady in New York, what else do you guys have coming down the pipelines for fans, any kind of customers of pins, and what kind of things can you hype them up for?
Well, I mean, we are working on some licenses right now that we can't really go into just because they're
not finalized.
We're still locking it down, but we have a couple big things coming up that we're actually really excited for. Like really excited.
Like
it's really hard for me to not talk about it.
I really wish I could tell you.
But, you know, hopefully in the next month or so, we can have some really good announcements to make. We have the Mr. Rogers license, so we're working on a couple things for that. We have the dog pins that we're really excited for. You know, like the artist that we work with, Andrea, is in New York, and her stuff is just so cute. You know, and I think we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do with it, but I think some of the money is going to go towards like animal shelters and, you know, to prevent like animal abuse and stuff like that. Just what else?
I think, I mean, mainly, I guess our focus is like partnering, licensing. We hired a licensing consultant. So we're taking it seriously.
Yeah, progressing, just taking baby steps to become like a bigger, you know, force.
Yep. Trying to input all the systems so we're not doing everything every day, you know. Trying to think bigger and better.
There it is.
Bigger and better.
Bigger and better. And I got an email this morning saying that you two are going to take some time off. Do you have anything fun planned?
Well, we're actually going to Ohio. I'm from Ohio, so my parents are there, and I haven't been home in 2 years. So it's one of those things that we planned it thinking that the pandemic was going to be on the downward trajectory, and it hasn't quite worked out that way, but we got a COVID test, and we're good to fly. We've been quarantining, and we think now is a better time to go than at Christmas. We feel like Christmas will be like craziness.
Yeah.
So, and we'll mostly be outside at the pool. Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. This is the first time we've flown in a long time. So, you know, we're definitely got all the hand sanitizers, they got our masks, like there's a middle seats open. So we're still checking like every day. Like I'm just like even now, like we're supposed to leave tomorrow. I'm like, are we still really going? Like, is it gonna get canceled?
It's
like,
just
something's gonna happen, I'm sure.
It's the strangest time right now, just to do anything. But you know, I have a few uncles that are up in in their 90s and got to get there before it's too late. So
yes. How are your individual families doing? You know, Ohio. Jason, is your family in the area too, or?
Yeah, my whole family is in Southern California.
Okay.
But we talk every few days, you know, just check up, call the grandparents. Like my grandpa just learned how to do video chat on his phone. So like we get, you know, the most random calls throughout the day, just like, hi. And it's like, all right, bye. I guess I'm glad I saw him.
Yeah, everyone's healthy.
Yep, no cases in our family.
No cases in my family.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where can people find the pins from Little Shop of Pins?
Everywhere. No, I wish we could say that one day. Target. No, I wish we could say that one day.
Basically, it's our website, littleshopofpins.com. You can follow us on our Instagram. We try to tag products on our Instagram. We have an Instagram store. I believe our Facebook is connected to Etsy. We actually have some like stuff on Etsy that's not on our Shopify.
Yeah, once it runs down in quantity, I usually put it over on Etsy. So if you're looking for something that has been sold out, Etsy is a good place to check. And if you spend more than $35, you get free shipping. So woohoo.
On Etsy.
On Etsy.
Just to remind the fans of the show, we are not sponsored by Etsy. This is just a nice plug.
that E company.
The E company.
That's another good pro tip though, for people first starting out. Etsy is a great place to first start out. You get a lot of eyes on your stuff.
It's a marketplace. So
Yeah.
it's nice. You get a lot of random people that are just browsing.
Yeah.
I completely forgot to ask in the beginning. Little Shop of Pins, where did the name come from? Because I watched the movie Little Shop of Horrors, I think maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. I was just seeing if that was any way connected.
I mean, it is connected, but it's not because of the movie. It's more because of the theme song. I love a good jingle. So if someone's going to sing our name, and I've had people sing our name to us, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really, I mean, we were just sitting brainstorming one day and writing down everything we could think of. And Little Shop of Pins just came into my head. And
one of the things that we talked about is like everyone should be able to see our name and know exactly what we do.
Yeah, we don't want people to be guessing about like who we are or what we do.
It's like, oh, we have a shop. Oh, they sell pins. Oh, okay.
and the thing about it is,
it's nothing too crazy.
when we first were like, oh my God, like it was like one of those like aha moments. When we had that aha moment, I was like, this has to be taken. Like, there's no way that this is available. And it was like nothing, like Instagram, Facebook, littleshopofpins.com. It was all available. And I was just like, okay, this is it. Like, it's a sign.
Yeah. Like,
thank you.
Came up with that, the name.
Yeah. We even like went through like business accounts and stuff, making sure, and no one.
Yeah.
The only thing close to it was a little shop, and it's with a PPE, but that's it.
Yeah.
What was the most ridiculous name you guys thought of?
Oh God, I don't even remember.
It probably had to do something with like the word pin in it somehow, like Pin Man or like
Oh my God.
I mean, we do get Little Shop of Puns a lot.
Yeah, it's sad. Kids don't know how to read cursive.
I mean, I'm slowly losing my way of writing cursive because I've been using so long.
Yeah.
It's chicken scratch now, mine.
Yeah.
That's just my normal handwriting, honestly.
That name thing, though, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there were some ridiculous ones.
I'm sure there's a notepad somewhere that just has like.
If we find it, we will send it to you.
Okay, perfect.
I have so many notepads, just like random notes that I have no idea.
I wish we had that paper.
Oh, look at this. This is the very first sketch of Olympia right there.
Ooh, love it.
Yes. He's in sweet chili sauce.
Oh.
Little pool.
Yeah.
He needs a little pool towel.
Lumpia. I always think of it as like a little like high pitch at the end of it too, like Lumpia.
It's like,
yeah.
Exactly. I'm getting eaten. Wait, what? Jason and Amy, thank you so much for stopping by and virtually chatting with me. I hope everything goes well with your trip to Ohio and the shop. Big fan of you guys. The second camera has a shot of my laptop cover, and I got your guys a sticker on there, so I'm gonna support.
Nice, thank
Always
you.
gonna support.
Yeah, it was great meeting you and chatting. Thank you for having us on.
Yes, of course. And when next time you guys in Portland, I'll have a better idea of what Filipino places to go, what ones you should probably say to.
Well, we love Portland, so we'll let you know next time we're there.
Yes, please. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the interview. Do you have any follow-up questions for the guest? Throw them in the comments below, then I'll work to get them answered for you. If you like what you heard and you want to listen to more episodes, go ahead and follow Keoni Chats on Spotify and iTunes. If you want a video version, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. And if you want to stay connected when I'm not posting things, as far as blog posts or podcast, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, the KC Media 13 handle. And then you can also like and follow the Facebook page of Conlu K Media, which is also KC Media. And if you want to become a guest, go ahead and message me those on those platforms. Or you can email me at kcmedia13@yahoo.com. I'll get you scheduled. Let's connect. Let's have a chat. So until the next episode, everyone please take care.